Hello, everybody. Welcome. Happy New Year.
Right.
First of all, again, Happy New Year. Let's make it be excellent. Let's appreciate it. You know, technology is difficult. Happy New Year. It works.
You're on, Mom.
Okay. You are welcome. Welcome back. Okay. I have two things I want to discuss today, both of which are important. One of them is of Johanna, and for that I have to show you things. So let me begin with the other thing, which has been really burdened to me. Every night when I've been watching the news, at the end or in between, there is a part showing the people who, from the border, who have been taken from one spot to the other, and nobody's taking them. And it's been cold, and they're wearing clothes which aren't adequate. And I need to go back into my memories in order to say why it affects me. In 1938, when we were in Vienna, and I was 8 years old, my daughter once said that everything I do stems from that period of time. So does this. The doorbell rang, and my mother went to answer, and I ran along just to see. And there was a very well-dressed man standing there. By well-dressed, doctors dressed like that. Not beggars, with the tie and the vest and the well-cut suit. And he asked my mother for money. And she looked at him and she said, "You don't look like someone who needs money. Why?" And he said, "You don't know what is happening out there. Nobody comes into my office. They're forbidden to come to me. I have no money. And everybody who looks at me said, 'How does he come and beg for money? He looks so wealthy.' And someday, these people will see me hanging in the courtyard, using my necktie for hanging. And they'll say, 'But why didn't he come to me?'" And he walked away. And my mother ran into the kitchen, grabbed a loaf of bread, wrapped a napkin around him, and ran into the street looking for him. She could never find him anymore. And she is the one who came up with this. When somebody needs you, don't wait. You don't know enough. Don't wait. And that message from my mother has been sitting in my brain when I see the people being carried from border to border and nobody wants them, with flimsy clothing sometimes. And I have a closet which has coats I no longer wear. So do my friends. And how does one go about giving it to the people waiting at the border? And so I spoke to the people who I thought could give me advice. First, I spoke to Gary, who gives things to people all the time. When he finds things that need repair, what if I tell people they could bring the things and put them into my balcony in front? And he said, "Do you know how much it costs in gas?" Speaking of, you would need somebody to organize. You would need somebody who knows how to do these things. You can't just have people drop everything on your porch and stand there. If you really want them specifically there, you have to do something and let people know. And then after that, I spoke to Dory, who is very organized and very good at things. And she said a similar thing. You need somebody who knows how to do this. This is an organization you need. And then I spoke to my friend Marcia, who is Marcia.
Oh, sure.
Who is very capable. She's the one who organizes her home and her kitchen.
Point again.
Right here, Marcia. And she came up with the correct one. And Kenny put this in different words, but the same thing that she had said on my Facebook page.
And I want to tell you that Laura Iacovone Agatoris actually gave you a link on Facebook for the immigration advocacy and immigration education in Long Island. So we have at least one resource.
Oh, how wonderful.
Right now already.
Could you say that again louder?
Immigration advocacy, immigration education, NYC.
Oh, how wonderful. And if anybody can bring more ideas. Now let me tell you what Marcia had said. I should put this, and Kenny posted it for me. I am interested in supplying the border immigrants with outerwear for the winter months. Is there anyone listening that might have connections to make this possible? And my mother said, many, many years ago, don't wait, or it might be too late. Okay? Thank you, Kenny. And how do we let you know what to do? Kenny, what are our next steps?
We can put something, so we'll put something on Hetty's Facebook feed as we get information, and Hetty will also talk about this next Monday and give you an update about everything going on. So as a community, we could all do this together.
You know, when I lost weight, I couldn't wear certain clothes. When I gained weight, I couldn't wear certain clothes. I have socks, more socks than I can ever wear. And because when I fell, when I had my stroke, and they put a rod in my right leg where the hip had broken, I thought that was it. I didn't know that my left leg would shrink as I shrunk with age. So one leg is shorter than the other. I have a lot of shoes I cannot wear. I have so many things to give. And it was Deeds, my granddaughter, and Mike, my grandson who married her, who came up with the idea of gift clothing. You don't need things in the closet. Give them, and that would do it. Okay? Now I'm going to go to something very different.
But let me just say, if anybody wants to give any thoughts or any comments or wants to say that you'd like to be a part of this or anything, feel free to leave a message now. And should I just take a minute and read you the comments so far?
I'd love it.
Okay, sure.
Let's change the world.
Laura Silver is here watching, and Hernan Poza is watching all the way from Austria. Eileen Cutler is watching and says, we are here. Hernan says, we can all hear you. And Laura says, yes, we can hear. And Marcia Bard Isman says, hi, Hetty. And Dory says, around the new year, one hopes. Greg tells us that we can hear you. Marcia says, happy new year, lovely Hetty. Eileen says, Hetty looks exceptionally beautiful and healthy. Julie, our Julie is watching. Michelle is watching, and she says, "Hi, Hetty, I miss you." And Sandy says, "Good evening, Aunt Hetty. Happy New Year from Sandy and Ismail." Michelle has a little message for me. Fran Rosenberg is watching. Joe Tripp is watching. John Terracuso says, "Hi, Hetty. Hi, Ken. Hugs from California." Joe Tripp says, "Happy New Year, Hetty." And Michelle says, "Rabbi Menachem, creditor of the UJA of New York, is a part of the group of 18 who took a trip to the border. I can connect you."
Oh, thank you.
Beautiful.
Kenny, do you want to write these down, or do they stay on my phone? In other words,
they stay, but I'll write it down just to be sure.
I have paper.
Well, actually, I know that it's Michelle, so we're good.
Okay.
Good. Yeah.
Okay. Do you realize that free of charge, you are broadcasting to the world? What else is going to happen now with that wonderful space telescope, which shows us that planets which died billions of years ago are now visible? That's important, but that I am speaking to you and I'm heard in Europe and maybe someday in the moon, and through it you will give clothing to the people who are huddling. Remember the huddled masses which our Statue of Liberty was supposed to welcome? Mm-hmm. We never knew at that time that the Statue of Liberty, first of all, it was given to us by the people of France, but that through it we could give clothing to people who have lost their homes. And as my mother said, don't wait. Okay. And now I want to tell you about another miracle. When Eric and I had an art gallery, one of the people who came to us for framing, let me be quiet while you show this.
Oh, okay, let me just reduce the picture. There we go, okay.
Johanna. Person of the Year for the Herald. This is Johanna.
One second.
Yes.
Okay, point again.
You're going to be moving that camera a lot today.
That's fine. Got it.
Here she is.
Yes.
This elegant lady. Johanna is somebody whom I have known since she first came into our gallery, and Eric took care of her framing, and we knew at the moment how wonderful she was, because we had had a young girl working for us who had had a lot of emotional problems and couldn't cope, and went to the school, the alternative school that Johanna was running. I think Johanna has saved more young people than anybody else I know, except maybe the Fortune Society. Okay? Where I volunteered as counseling, and so did Eric, and I hope that we saved a lot of people also. And Johanna is also one of the most important people in Long Beach. She formed the
Artists in Partnership.
Right. And as an aside, you know that we made prints of some of the paintings that you've seen. The Stock Exchange with the people in it, and the Plaza Hotel area. And when Eric and I decided to do signed and numbered limited edition prints of them, Eric ordered double the amounts that we would need, and he said, let a half of these, when we've numbered the others, let them be given for charity. And I had spoken to Johanna about it, because Johanna is somebody who knows how to organize. As she did this and a million other things. If you get this newspaper, you'll know the vast amount of things that she has done. She really is Miss Long Beach. Can you ignore it? That's the phone we never answer.
Okay.
That's, people only can speak on my cell phone because it's the only thing I carry. The others are mostly people selling me insurance.
Okay. Well, let me tell you the people that have commented and
Yes.
are here. So, Michelle says, Mazel Tov on your retirement, Joe Trip. And yes, Mazel Tov on your retirement, Joe Trip. Marcia says, Michael and I will go through our closets tomorrow and put together a box of clothes and shoes.
Is that Marcia Asman?
It is.
Yes. Marcia is another person who is in the painting. Here, she's not quite finished, and neither is Michael.
Keep poking.
And I love Michael's hat. As a matter of fact, the photograph they sent me in the computer, it says the hat.
Michelle says, remember undergarments. And Tammy is watching. Tammy Smith. Tracy is watching. Tracy Hepner. Our Mary is watching. Hi, Mary. And Tammy says, sorry we were late. Happy New Year.
You know, I need to embellish something because I'm leading my life around it. And Tammy and Tracy put something into my brain many years ago when we first met. And it is that the universe watches. And if we have to meet people, that the universe feels must become part of your life. In strange ways, they enter our lives. This painting answered that. I spoke to John, who's doing the film about my work, and I said, how, when I'm finished, which will be no later than a year from now, but when, I don't know. But when I finish, how can I describe the people? Because Eric, before he passed away, he said to me, Hetty, don't ever put anybody into a painting unless they tell you in writing how they see themselves. And I thought, when people asked me how to go about that, I said just a few lines will do. Not how people see you, but how you see your place in the world. And then Wendell Wyatt, who is the partner,
The husband.
of John, who is doing the film. Can you see them?
Right there.
And being helped by the nephew, Matt. None of them are finished because I learned once I get the resemblance, it's not enough. I have to sit down quietly with nobody talking to me and no company in the room and think of that person. And suddenly I get the person. But not from a photograph alone. I'll talk about that eventually. Right now, I just want to say, how did they all end up in my life? And the biggest thing this week that is happening is Kinha, who saw in one of the booklets about old New York.
Can you point again, Mom?
She saw that I had written about Orchard and Delancey. And out of it came a friendship where we call each other's family, because we compare notes and things, and even though our lives were so different, I was a refugee from Hitler. They were refugees from China. And even though, and this is one other thing I have to tell you, because eventually I was thinking of simply spending, when I'm finished, when the people look like themselves and feel like themselves, within the year I'll be finished. I would like to speak about each person and tell how they came into my life. Because maybe technology, Gary showed me a film today of a woman who did a painting, and in very quick segments, every stroke is shown of the painting she did of a woman. And I need to do the opposite of that, but it hasn't been invented yet. I need to show you that each person is a world. Because I am just learning that if I speak to somebody, there's no way the vastness of that person can happen unless I sit and draw them. Because when I do, who they are doesn't get hidden. It comes out. I think I've become the equivalent of a barber's chair when people talk. And I love it. And Kenny, who is running the program right now, knows, because to have a son to whom you can say anything, as we do every night we speak, and we ask each other, who was your inner mentor? And then we speak of what we're learning today. And I think everybody who has a child or a parent needs to take a little time to just sit with them and say, what did your inner mentor ask of you today? Because there is some voice inside of us that always tells us where we messed up and where we succeeded. And I think my time is up. Is there anything anybody can still squeeze in to say?
Absolutely. If anybody wants to pop anything in now, you still can, and I will read. Um, Joe is saying that he's napping a lot and he's leaving for England on Thursday for 6 weeks. And Michelle says, Bon voyage. Janine is watching. Tammy just sent you a heart.
Now, I have so many Joes in my life. Joe who?
Joe Tripp.
Joe Tripp, the retiree.
Yes.
Mazel tov. And I love you all, and let us make the new year good for other people. Not
Beautiful.
just for us.
And Eileen says, we love you, Hetty and Ken. And Michelle says, good night, happy and healthy New Year all.